Hi guys! Today I wanted to talk about two of my favorite poems written by two of my favorite poets, Walt Whitman and Mikhail Lermontov, who hailed from opposite sides of our world. One of my favorite artistic motifs is this calling of an open road, the chance to venture out through wilderness and the great unknown, to charter one's own course with courage and humility. I have been alternately fascinated and puzzled by the gift of free will that we are given at different times in my life, and the meaning of freedom itself. Slavery is clearly unconscionable, but so is freedom without bounds. An open road invokes the spirit of great adventure, but also the opportunity for very sober self-reflection. Each open road is a pilgrimage of sorts, an invitation to discover the mysteries of the natural world, while acknowledging that they may be as likely to destroy us as they may be to save us. I'd like to start out by thinking about one of the most famous roads in the collective American imagination, Highway 66, the main road featured in John Steinbeck's beautiful book, The Grapes of Wrath. Highway 66 represents extreme hope and hardship. It serves as the main road that the Joad family and thousands of other Dust Bowl migrants took from Oklahoma to California in search of a better life. Highway 66 represents the promise of a new beginning for families who are absolutely ruined by drought and poverty. It's a road leading to opportunity in California, a place that was rumored to have jobs, fertile land, and human dignity. It's a path towards survival and renewal for so many families dreaming of a better future. Steinbeck makes Highway 66 a shared space for thousands of migrants, not just the Joads. It's a symbol of community and shared struggle, and links individuals into one great human migration. Highway 66 is a moving nation of America's dispossessed. It also shows the very hard truths of those migrants' lives. As cars break down, people die, and dreams fade as the miles wear on endlessly. Highway 66 represents America in transition, in a very unique time, a transition from the rural, agricultural world to an industrial, mobile one. It's a symbol of modernity, migration, and the shifting American identity during the Great Depression. Most interestingly, though, I think that the Joad's travel down Highway 66 represents a spiritual pilgrimage. The road tests their faith, their endurance, and their moral strength. Like a spiritual journey, it strips away illusions and teaches this family what truly matters, which is community, dignity, and compassion. So leaving John Steinbeck now, I wanted to speak a little bit about Walt Whitman, who's one of my favorite poets and one of the most original and influential American poets. He's best known for his collection Leaves of Grass, which celebrated the human spirit, democracy, and the beauty of everyday, very ordinary human life. Whitman believed that every person had dignity and worth, whether they were rich or poor, man or woman, slave or free. His poetry celebrates the common man and the shared humanity of all people, and Whitman saw himself as a voice for everyone, not just the elite. Interestingly, Whitman saw democracy as more than just a political system. For Whitman, it was a deeply spiritual idea. He thought that democracy meant equality, connection, and mutual respect, and he believed poetry could help create a deeper sense of unity in America. Interestingly, Whitman also broke from the tradition of treating the body as something shameful or separate from the spirit. He celebrated both physical and spiritual experience as sacred and interconnected. He viewed nature as divine and healing. The natural world inspired him to see beauty in all living things and to find meaning in all the cycles of life and death. He valued self-expression and honesty above all. Before becoming a poet, he worked as a teacher, a journalist, and a nurse during the Civil War, and his experiences with everyday people and especially with wounded soldiers, gave him deep compassion and faith in human resilience. He was ultimately inspired by the vastness of the United States, something that continues to capture my imagination. Its rivers, its cities, its prairies, and its people. This sense of boundless possibility shaped his long, flowing poetic lines that seemed to echo the rhythm of an entire continent. Whitman was a poet of life, democracy, and the human soul. His voice is expansive, tender, and bold, and still feels very uniquely American all these years later. So I'd like to read an excerpt from his poem, Songs of the Open Road. Afoot and light-hearted, I take to the open road. Healthy, free, the world before me. The long brown path before me leading wherever I choose. Henceforth I ask not good fortune. I myself am good fortune. Henceforth I whimper no more, postpone no more, need nothing. Done with indoor complaints, libraries, querulous criticisms. Strong and content, I travel the open road. The earth, that is sufficient. I do not want the constellations any nearer. I know they are very well where they are. I know they suffice for those who belong to them. But still here I carry my old delicious burdens. I carry them, men and women. I carry them with me wherever I go. I swear it is impossible for me to get rid of them. I am filled with them, and I will fill them in return. So now I'd like to speak a little bit about someone who I think would have been very good friends with Walt Whitman, Mikhail Lermontov. He was a Russian poet, novelist, and soldier. He lived a short but very dramatic life and became one of Russia's greatest romantic writers. His work, like Walt Whitman's, was filled with passion, loneliness, and a search for meaning in a rapidly changing, inscrutable world. He was considered one of Russia's greatest romantic poets and novelists, often considered the heir to Pushkin. And although his life was quite brief, ending in a duel at the age of 26, his works had a deep and lasting influence on Russian literature. Lermontov's poetry and prose reflect a deeply passionate soul, a love for freedom, and a restless search for meaning in a world that often seemed unjust and empty. Lermontov was born into a noble family in Moscow, but much of his childhood was spent in the Caucasus Mountains, where the wild beauty of the landscape left a lasting impression on him, just as Walt Whitman was endlessly fascinated by the natural beauty of America. The region's vast mountains and fierce independence would later appear throughout his poetry as symbols of freedom and rebellion. Lermontov's early life was marked by loneliness. His mother died when he was very young, and his father was distant and possibly quite cruel. Lermontov admired human liberty and individuality, and he deeply resented the corruption and hypocrisy he saw in modern society. Many of his poems express this hatred of oppression and his longing for spiritual and artistic freedom. He wrote a beautiful poem called The Sail, in which a lonely white sail drifts across the sea and becomes a symbol of the poet's restless soul, as it continues to seek freedom even amid life's turbulent storms. Lermontov valued honesty, emotional depth, and independence of spirit, as did Walt Whitman. He saw the poet as someone who should speak truthfully about life, even if it meant standing alone, completely apart from society. His works reveal a constant struggle between idealism and despair, between the desire for freedom and the reality of human limitations. In the end, Lermontov's writing was shaped by this impenetrable inner solitude, his love of nature and freedom, and his rebellion and commitment against injustice. His life was very short, but his poetry and prose captured the heart of the romantic spirit and helped define and shape the future of Russian literature. So now I'd like to read Lermontov's interpretation of the open road in his famous poem, I Go Out Alone on the Path, in Russian and in English. Выхожу один я на дорогу, сквозь туман, кремнистый путь блестит. Ночь тиха, пустыня внемлет Богу, и звезда звездою говорит. Alone, I set out on the road. The flinty path is sparkling in the mist. The night is still. The desert harks to God, and star with star converses. В небесах торжественно и чудно спит земля в сиянии голубом. Что же мне так больно и так трудно? Жду ли чего? Жалею ли о чем? The vault is overwhelmed with solemn wonder. The earth in cobalt aura sleeps. Why do I feel so pained and so troubled? What do I harbor? Hope? Regrets? Уж не жду от жизни ничего я, и не жаль меня прошлого ничуть. Я ищу свободы и покоя. Я б хотел забыться и заснуть. I see no hope in years to come, have no regrets for things gone by. All that I seek is peace and freedom, to lose myself and sleep. Но не тем холодным сном могилы. Я б желал навеки так заснуть, чтоб в груди дремали жизни силы, чтоб дыша вздымалась тихо грудь. But not the frozen slumber of the grave. I'd like eternal sleep to leave, my life force dozing in my breast, gently with my breath to rise and fall. Чтоб всю ночь, весь день, мой слух лелея, про любовь мне сладкий голос пел. Надо мной, чтоб вечно зеленея, темный дуб склонялся и шумел. By day and night, my hearing would be soothed by voices sweet, singing to me of love, and over me, forever green, a dark oak tree would bend and rustle. The end. And now just a few thoughts of my own about embarking upon the open road. The saying goes that some paths reveal themselves to us only once we start walking. But then there are other open roads that sprawl before us and beckon us onwards. These roads have been roughly hewed through dense wilderness by our ancestors, who toiled so that we could carry forth with greater ease. We should remember to thank them every now and then. I think that their open roads remind us of something we often forget, that while we all travel different paths to varied destinations over life, we do so together, in living covenant with one another. Some companions remain by our side the entire journey, and what a blessing they are for that. Others join just for a short time before our paths diverge. They are equally as precious to us. I wish great serenity and courage for everyone alighting upon an open road right now, as much for the sick, the ones whose lives may be ending, as for those whose lives are bursting with possibility. I think especially of my dear patients, the ones who are dealing with 1,000 heartbreaks and indignities at this very moment. I hope that the path is sturdy and that the fellow sojourners you encounter along the way will look after you. Those of us who are healthier and strong are called upon to lighten their load. Thank you so much for listening.